Alright. I'm gonna show off the models that I've made. Like, they're kind of just pointless in a way. Like, the walls, I made those to scale, whatever, all this shit. Modular, whatnot. But, I just wanted some props in here, too. The table's a prop. The actual table that's there. Cassette tape scaled up times 7. Um, But I also just wanted them in here for when if I wanted to place them down certain spots to make the scene look a little bit better, or also for the portfolio or whatever. If somebody wants to check them out, they come in here and check out my models or whatnot. Um, and yeah, they're not nothing fancy. They're literally just GrayBlock models. I'm calling this GrayBlock kits, modular walls, doors. You've got like archways, ramp steps. I'm thinking about doing a few other things. I'll talk about that later. Uh, but okay, on to the KOTOR door. This is the door from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, because it is in 2. Um, I actually been playing it here lately. I just got them playing it for a little bit. It's pretty fun. But the door does work. I showed it off in the video I showed a little bit ago. It works. It has collision. I have a glitched thing of it too. But overall, I did the door mainly for myself. To understand how to bring in skeletal meshes, get the animations to work, and then set the animations up to work in the game like they do here. And I've obviously achieved that, regardless or not whether or not my animation's like the best. I feel the opening's pretty nice because it's kind of a little feel it's a little slow, but the closing's like super fast. I should have slowed it down just a touch, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. But in the terms of this right here, this is static mesh, and this is the skeletal mesh. And overall, it looks fucked up. There's shading issues there. The auto smooth did not come through. So what that's telling me is I need to either set the model up better, like to have holding edges, or I need to fully complete the model, at least in the terms of texturing, which I doubt that's the case. I almost bet it's the holding edges because auto smooth is not coming through. I almost bet money on it, but I'm not really sure. More testing for me is required to know whether or not that's the case or not, but I'm pretty sure that's the case, and I'll do more testing later. Um, but onto the oops, onto the physics and stuff and the animation. The bone hierarchy is kind of a bitch. You have to make sure to change the name of the armature in Blender to something other than armature, or it will delete it and it will remove the scale that you have on the item and it'll shrink it down really small. So do not do that. Always make sure to change that name. But my animations come in right. My bone hierarchy is pretty much correct. And the physics capsule is really small. I'm using a custom physics from the skeletal mesh. That's why, or the static mesh. That's why I have the static and the skeletal mesh in here. So I wanted to use the custom collision on it, but as you can tell, the collision is really well. Let me rephrase that. The physics asset for this door is really small, and I'm not really sure why. Well, I know why. I scaled it down, but if we go in here, you can see. Oh, it looks almost accurate. So very close to the door. No, I've tried so much to get the damn thing scaled proper, but they only give you that little tool, that little, if you click on it, that thing. Yeah, they only let you do it through this, and it's kind of annoying because you can't get it correct, but Overall, it doesn't matter. The door frame is in the way. So in all honesty, I probably could have just made this 2 boxes and it would have just been fine. But I wanted to make sure that it worked the way I intended it to work. It does. So that's just a pretty much general rundown of what I've learned in bringing my skeletal meshes and static meshes in. Because another thing really about it was at first it was trying to bring in static meshes to scale and the walls to scale and keeping a sense of scale and reference in this. Try to get better at building worlds or whatever, or doing whatever I want to do in it. And overall, I think I've built up a nice, I don't know the word for it. I've built up a nice sense of scale, I guess, in this world. My door could have been a touch bigger. A lot of the things that I do bring in at first could be a touch bigger until I go back and fix them. So my sense of scale tends to be on the smaller side. Like, I want to make the shit smaller, but then when I bring it in, it's kind of too small. So I've been trying to defeat that and try to bring in what I feel is just a little bit too big. And usually that's perfect. But, I guess on to Blender. Okay, here's the dungeon level that I've kind of laid out using my little GrayBlock kit that I built, because my main goal here was to learn, I guess, a little bit of architecture, I guess, because I would feel this is architecture because you're building the walls and stuff and laying out the layout of the, I guess this would be a dungeon or whatever. Mainly why I wanted to do that was because I wanted to test my GrayBlock kit and my pieces that I've made. I'm pretty satisfied with them overall. They work really good. They're perfect, pretty much. They flip. You can rotate them, and they'll go in place perfectly. Oh, at that point, those other ones are rotating. Yeah, even my corners rotate really good. But either way, it doesn't matter. My issue with doing it this way, though, is, like I said, I've got modular kits. You can change them on the fly or whatever to whatever you want. My biggest issue with doing it this way is you gotta copy and paste, or not, like, duplicate, and, like, you gotta duplicate, and then duplicate the wall or whatever. Building it this way is a lot better than building it the other, like, I guess any other way, really. Or, well, no, I don't know. This is probably the slowest way to build it, really. I mean, and it's kind of odd because Unreal wants you to build it this way, it seems like. Which I understand why. They want you to keep a sense of scale. But in the future, moving forward, what I think I'm going to do is I'm probably going to build the assets, like rooms, like if I'm talking about a dungeon, I'm going to build the rooms in Blender. Specific size, maybe specific doorways, maybe if it wants to have 1 door, 2 door, 3 door, whatever, and then build like hallways and stuff, like modular hallways and other things like that. If I wanted to do something like this, like building something like this with this kit is just a little daunting. It can be done, but it's a little daunting. I could probably do it a lot faster with the same pieces that I've made here in Blender faster, just because I have more control in Blender. Like, I don't know why Unreal wants us to do this. Like, why do you want, like, and this is a specific question for Unreal, why the hell do you want me to do this shit in Unreal? Why do you want me to rig in Unreal? Why do you want me to model in Unreal? Why do you want me to do anything like that in Unreal? It is, like, counterintuitive, and it kind of sucks balls. And me personally, I'm actually probably not going to do it this way anymore. Like I said, I'll build the modular pack, or I will have this on the fly things if I want to build a little house or something really quick or something that I don't have in particular. But like dungeon layouts like this, most likely I'm going to build them in Blender and bring them all over in one piece, or build a modular dungeon kit and have it in here. Now, I like the other idea of building it in Blender and then bringing it over in here. And like I said, the biggest issue with it is I think the scale is going to be would be a problem for most people. But like Blender has these grids, this grid stuff, and like if you use the snapping tool, snap to increment, does the exact same thing this snapping right here does. Because I had the snapping off for scaling purposes. Oh, what's my scale? Oh, okay, so this one's the one. That one's for scale. That one's for dragging around on the grid. But okay, either way, Blender's increment lock is the same as this, so if you're flipping them around and they don't line up in Blender, they won't line up in here. But I guess I'm gonna go to Blender now. Alright, here I'm in Blender with the door, the KOTOR door. Now I've used two rigs, a control rig and either a game rig or root, whatever you want to call it, to actually rig it up and make it do its thing. I have two collision capsules, or two collisions for the door to split apart itself, and then 24 for the actual like frame itself, because you want to walk through the frame. Now you could do it with 4, and you could still walk through it with 4, but you wouldn't have like, it would be like a wall right here and a wall right here. But really, you're not gonna walk up on that, so it really don't matter. But I'm just doing it for the experience of it, and at least this way now, you cannot tell me that I do not know collision, I do not know static meshes, and I do not know skeletal meshes. And at this point, I'm learning animation for the most part, not nothing crazy like walking or whatever, but like rigging my own items and getting them to move, like weight painting them or vertex painting them or whatever, and then pushing them down to the NLA and then baking them to from the control rig to the root rig. At this point, I'm not really sure what else I can learn. Like, what more do I have to do to get hired as a game developer? I know how to poly model. I honestly know how to. I could sculpt and retopology the sculpt, but I haven't done that yet. But I know I can. I see how it works. I can do it. It's not hard. UV and texture and bake and set up my models properly for baking. Now rigging and static meshes, and collision, bringing the models in, static or fucking skeletal mesh. I mean, I'm racking my brain on what else. I mean, you know, I've got my shader stuff that I've been doing. I got that. I know that. I mean, I honestly don't know what more I have to do to get a job as like a modeler or bringing like asset implementer or whatever, or like a shader setupper, or like, I don't know what more I have to do. Like, I have bent over backwards. I have learned all the tricks. Not all the tricks, but like all the tricks that I've not wanted to learn, like that I've wanted to learn in the industry, that I was like, oh, well, I'll just learn them when I get in there. No, you fucking won't. You need to sit down and learn this shit. But I don't know. I'm ranting too much. But I don't know. This is just my breakdown of how I made my skeletal mesh and my Koto door. Peace.